everyone, welcome to Southern Wreaths. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and share my video. Today I'm going to show you how I make this really cute pancake wreath. These are the supplies I'm going to use to make this wreath. I am going to use this really cute sign I got from Craft Outlet. I have my black pipe cleaners, 3 different kinds of mesh. All of these came from Craft Outlet. This is like a premium mesh. Because this mesh has these in it, I don't know if you can see where it's separated, I'm going to use my heat tool. If you don't have a heat tool, you can just use your rotary cutter, but the heat tool cuts this so much better. I don't have one of those fancy glass cutting things, so I picked up a pan at a thrift store. I used this for bubbles a long time ago with my kids. It was already like messed up, but it worked great for bubbles. So I'm going to use this to cut with my heat tool. But ideally you want a glass cutting board. I have my hot glue and my E6000 for my sign. And then of course my rotary cutter to cut the rest of the mesh. I have a 14-inch frame from Dollar Tree. This is a silver frame. And then I have scissors. And I have my glue stick to help me roll down my pipe cleaners. And I believe I got both of these. No, I got this one from, I want to say Craft Outlet. And this one is from Hobby Lobby. Alright, let's get started. The first thing I want to do is go ahead and add pipe cleaners to my sign so it has time to dry. I'm just cutting this piece of cardboard so I can use it to hold my pipe cleaners down. I just like to cut it in half. I'm only adding 2, but of course you can add as many or as few as you want. I'm going to use E6000 and my Gorilla Hot Glue. And I like to put a line. I'm going to put the line on the actual sign instead of the stickers because I've actually had the stickers pull off before. And that was not fun. I'm going to put a line of E6000, and you don't have to do that long of a line. I'm not even sure why I did that. Then I'm just going to lay the pipe cleaners in the E6000 as evenly as I can, and then cover it in hot glue. And this is where I like to take the piece from the cardboard tag and hold it on here. I just feel like it holds everything together better. Alright, now I'm going to set this to the side and let it dry while I work on my wreath. I'm going to add my pipe cleaners to the center the same way I always do. I am going to change it up when I move to the outside, and I'll show you that in a second. So I just go around the 2 center bars and twist 3 times, pretty tightly. I don't want it to move. And I end up with 6 in the middle. So the only thing I'm going to do different on the outside is instead of starting on a crossbar, I'm going to offset it a little bit. Since this is a pancake wreath, I kind of want them not to line up at all. I know that's kind of hard to do all together, but we'll see what happens. I'm only coming over just not even halfway. It's just before halfway. And adding my pipe cleaner. Again, going around the 2 frames, or the 2 rings, this time the outside rings. Twisting 3 times. I lay the pipe cleaner along the second from the outside ring. Where that one ends is where I add my next one. And then I just go around and continue adding just like I do for all the other wreaths. And I end up with 8 on the outside, 6 on the inside, so a total of 14. I decided since I'm using 3 different kinds of mesh that I want that to be even instead of having a double black and white. So I added an extra pipe cleaner to the outside, so I end up with 15 ties. And the way I measured that out is that it goes past the, let me see if I can explain it right. It goes past the other pipe cleaner just about that much. It's not much at all, just to make them even. You can see it's just a little bit past there, and that made just enough room for me to add in an extra tie. That's not going to be necessary if you're only using 2 colors or just 1 color. It's because I'm using an odd number, and I thought it would look better if it was all equal. Now I'm going to cut my premium mesh. I'm going to need 5 pieces of this. You can see this one's a little bit rough just because of where I had it sitting on my shelf. The first thing I'm going to do is make a clean cut. I'm going to do it right here at this black piece. This mesh may be a little bit harder to cut than other mesh this way, only because it's so close together. The other mesh tends to have like pieces, like gaps in it. I'm going to try to cut this without the ruler and see how it goes. You want to be so careful while you're cutting. And all I'm doing is trying to cut in between the white and the black. And this immediately seals the edge, which is really nice. So what I'm doing is just pushing this black over and pulling the white out and then just cutting it right up against it. You will only be able to do this on the edge because once you get into the center, it's not going to look the same. So we'll see what happens when I get in that part. This is my first time cutting this kind of mesh, so bear with me if I mess up. Or if I give you bad advice, I apologize. I'm learning too. So I'm going to measure it out and then I'm going to cut it. Since I can't measure it or see through that. So this is a 24-inch mat, so I pull it out to the end and then pull it over to the 6. And then this is the line I want to cut. I'm going to move that onto my, or move this onto my tray. And I'm just going to cut along here. Again, I'm going to try to pull them apart just a little bit, because I don't want to actually cut the threads. But I know that if I don't use this heat tool that this mesh does spray. I don't have the piece I cut away earlier, or I would show you how bad it gets. When I've used this mesh in the past, I used it as a poof method, so I didn't actually have to worry about cutting it. And that's why, because it's so hard to work with. But it's so pretty and thick and it covers so well. And I think it's perfect for this wreath. And I know it might be hard for you to see because it's on camera, but when you're in person, you can see pretty good that where the line is to cut it. I'm not wearing a mask right this second because I'm talking, but as soon as I get done recording this, I'm putting a mask on. I highly recommend wearing a mask because the fumes from this smell so bad and it's probably not good for you. So I'm going to show you one more time how I cut it, and then I'm going to do the rest off camera with my mask on. But you can see like it's sealed, like nothing's coming loose. So if you wanted to purchase one of these, and they're really inexpensive, I don't think I spent too much money on that. But if you wanted to purchase one, you could use this to cut your mesh all the time. It wouldn't have to just be for, you know, specialty mesh. But it smells really bad. I'm going to measure out my 30. So that's going to be this line. Try not to put my end near my heat tool. And then I'm just going to kind of pull it apart just a little bit with my fingernail, or you could use a tool if you have a tool that would work. Just so I can see the fibers running through. You won't be able to pull it apart at the very edge because that's sealed as well. It's actually sewn. Alright. And I'm probably going to open my window too because this really does smell bad. And I've just got the tip that it's just a regular tip. I don't even know if you can see it. It won't let me reach it up further because the cord on it. But it's just the slanted tip. It came with other tips, so you could play around with whichever one works best for you. Alright, I'm going to cut. And it makes a noise. It's like a ticking noise as you're pulling through. And I am kind of pulling it apart as I'm cutting, being very mindful not to get my fingers. And you pull it apart because you don't want the heat tool to accidentally lay on this mesh. But there you go. There's my seams. So pretty. I may go ahead and cut my other mesh that way. Alright, I'm going to finish cutting this. I'm going to put my mask on and open my window. Since I have it out, I'm going to go ahead and use my heat tool to cut my regular mesh. I have white and black. They're both, you know, the same. One has a metallic streak. One has like this, it's like a white shiny. I think it's supposed to be like white metallic. If you don't have your heat tool, of course, you can just use your rotary cutter, and you don't have to use premium mesh either. You could just use this regular mesh. I wouldn't use mesh that you can see through really well, mainly because you're only putting the ruffles and then the ribbon. The ribbon will cover up a lot of it, but it won't cover up everything. So you want something that's going to cover just, you know, pretty well. So I'm going to cut these at 30 inches too. So I'm going to pull it out, pull over to my 6. Okay, so with this mesh, we'll do it slightly different. So this has a grid, and you're just going to follow the grid. And the grid may go like that, but just follow that grid. Hold on, let me put my mask back on. Alright, so I'm just going to go down. Sorry if my head's in the way. And I'm just going to follow that line. And of course, it's going to be hard to see in the camera, but in person, you can see it really well. And then just follow that grid straight down. And you get your sewed edge. No fraying. And I'm going to do 5 pieces of this mesh and 5 pieces of this mesh. I got all my mesh cut, and now I'm going to add my ruffles. I'm starting on the outside row because this is a pancake wreath. The inside will be higher. I'll show you as I go. So I'm just going to lay my mesh out flat and then just start gathering in the center. So I use these 6 fingers here to pull in, and then these 2 come up and grab. So I have my thumb behind. So I just do that over and over again. And this mesh is really soft, so it's really easy to ruffle. So I have this really pretty ruffle. Alright, I'm going to add it into my pipe cleaner. I'm going to put the center part where I'm holding it into the pipe cleaner. And then just reach around with it. And I'm going to twist 1 1/2. And then just kind of overlap it to fan it out. I'll do white next. And you could put something heavy on it if your mesh is curling, but since these were, well, these 2 were new meshes, they're not super curly because they're on the top, and this one doesn't curl that much at all because it's kind of like fabric. So I don't have to worry about that, but you can always place something heavy on the end. See, like right there where it curls? If it's further down into the roll of mesh, it would be harder to keep going. Alright, so the difference in a pancake wreath and a regular wreath is when you put this mesh in, you're not going to fluff it up against the one next to it. You're just going to let it lay over top. And this way your wreath stays really flat, so it can fit between a screen door and a regular door. And of course, you know, anyone can buy these depending on, you know, if they like the way it looks. It doesn't have to be for a screen door. And then I'll show you with the black one. So you can see I'm just doing a pattern. And then just gather it. Oops. That one might need something heavy. Alright. And then just put this in the next one. And overlap. Alright, I'm going to continue going through. The next will be the black and white, and so on. I just wanted to show you when you get to the last one, after you add it into the pipe cleaner, you're just going to fluff it slightly different. You're just going to lift up the first set of mesh and put it over top. So that way they're all layered. So now I'm going to go through and do the inside. I'm going to do my best to offset everything, but the way it's set up, I might not be able to do that. I want to apologize to y'all if you ever hear any construction in the background. They're like adding on to our development behind us. and it's super noisy sometimes depending on where they're working. And it's literally like in my backyard. So that's what I get to hear all day. It's nice. Okay, so to add the mesh to the center, we're gonna do something different. I'm gonna do my best to show you step by step. So first thing we're gonna do is open any pipe cleaner. I'm gonna put it in between these two, just because of the color that it is. I'm gonna add it into the pipe cleaner. Again, we're gonna twist the 1 1/2 and fan it out normal that way. So the outside mesh needs to be tucked under this mesh. So what you're gonna do is lift this up and just be sure this, like in my case, this black and white mesh is tucked underneath, and then this lays on top. And I'm gonna kind of turn that because that decided to like come apart there. It's not very pretty. We'll tuck that under. What that does is creates a flat area. Instead of it being puffed up against each other, it lays flat. So you can see here how flat it is. Because the goal with a pancake wreath is to keep it around 4 inches thick. So again, so it'll fit between a screen door and, or you know, a storm door and a regular door. And here I'll show you one more time with this one. So we add it in. We want it over top of this one, like we've been doing. And we twist 1 1/2, fluff it like normal on the center, and then the outside you're gonna lift it up and just tuck everything under. And then just lay it flat. So I'm going to continue doing that all the way around, again alternating the black and white, white, black, black, white, white, black. Alrighty, this is what it looks like when all my mesh is added. You see it's still pretty thin. You may have to set something on it when you're done just to flatten everything out. I don't usually add bows to these. I have seen people add bows to them, so if you want to, you can. I am going to go ahead and cut my ribbon. And I did want to see something to see if I actually want 12 inches. Yeah, I'm going to cut them at 12 inches. So I'm only using 2 colors of ribbon. My battery died and I did not film me cutting my ribbons. All I do is the same thing that I always do. I wrap my ribbon around my 12-inch piece of cardboard. I cut on either end. I end up with 7 pieces. I did that twice, and then I dovetail the ends. If you need to see this in detail, you can see any of my other videos where I add ribbon to a wreath. I do it the exact same way. I got all my ribbons cut. I was short 1 piece of this, so I'm either going to put the sign on top of where that ribbon would go, cut 2 pieces of this, or I also have this little piece that I can kind of make it stick out from behind the sign. We'll see when I get to that point. So I'm going to start by adding the ribbons to the inside, and I just like to make it even, fold it in half, crease it, and then pinch 3 times at the crease. Just kind of fluff it out a little bit. I'm just going to add it into the pipe cleaner on top of the mesh. I'm done adding things, so I'm going to twist it 3 times. Then I'm going to take a glue stick, or you can use a pen, a pencil, your finger, anything you want to use, and roll down the pipe cleaners. And then I will X out my ribbon. And I still want it to lay flat. Here, I'll show you the next one. Fold it in half and crease it. And pinch. And you do want to twist it tightly. You don't want the ribbon to slide out when you're flipping it. Alright, and I like to fluff it in an X, so I just kind of pull them apart like that. And there you go. I'm going to continue doing that on the center. Okay, I finished putting the ribbons on the inside. Now I'm going to move to the outside. I'm going to prep the ribbons the same. And just kind of lift up the mesh that's there to add the ribbon in. Still twisting 3 times, and I'm still going to roll it down with my glue stick. The difference is when you fluff the ribbon, you're only going to fluff it out. You're not going to like push it under. So it's going to lay like that. Real simple. I'll go through and do that to all the pipe cleaners. Okay, so I'm completely forgot that I have 15 spots for ribbon. So I put all of the outside has ribbon, and then these 2 right here just have this color ribbon, because with my sign right here you won't be able to tell and it's still covered. So my sign is dry. I'm going to pull up the sides, and it just kind of pulls it away from the thing. That's why you don't have to use as much glue as I do. And now I'm going to feed it through the wreath to the back and attach it to the frame. So I'm just going to kind of place it where I want it, and then just kind of push the mesh to the side. This one might be a little trickier than normal because it's only got the one mesh, so it's hard to get through. So I'm just going to push it through the actual mesh because it's got holes in it. Like this mesh of course wouldn't have holes in it, but this white and black does. So I can just push it through the holes in the mesh through to the back, and then turn it over and attach it to the frame. I'm just going to twist it just 1 1/2 for right now so I can make sure I've got it where I want it to be. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Just feed it through the mesh. Let's pull some of the ribbons out. Make sure everything's laying flat. Alright, now I'm just going to secure these completely since I only did 1 or 2 turns. I just twist it a few times and then wrap it around the actual bar right here. And then I make sure the sharp pieces are pointed towards the front so there's nothing sharp sticking out. That's how I made my Halloween pancake wreath. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, or you can email me at craftingwithlee@yahoo.com. Thanks so much for watching, and if y'all learned anything today or like my video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.